The Educational Technology Program at Central Michigan University presents EdTech Currents.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to EdTech Currents at Central Michigan University. My name is Kelvin Bird, and we have a great person on our show today. Her name is Katelyn Gerardi, and she is a recent graduate of the Educational Technology Program here at Central Michigan University. And she's going to share a wealth of knowledge with us regarding her career now and her experience in the program. So Katelyn is a very solid young lady. She is a working mom. She works in Saginaw, and she also has a son who wrestles. So she's taking care of that, and she has a partner that is into MMA, and we want to learn a little bit about that. So she represents the full gamut of a student who has so many different dynamics that she can share with us. So Katelyn, if you will, share a little bit about yourself before we get into some of the other academic aspects of this seminar.
Yeah, sure. So I myself am a blue belt in jiu-jitsu. My son does wrestling, so he's also into the martial arts, and my fiance is a professional mixed martial artist for the state of Michigan. So we are very busy and we are very active. We like to stay active and stay healthy, and so we're pretty busy.
Awesome. So your fiance is an active MMA fighter.
Yep. Yes.
Did he get you into jiu-jitsu, or was that something that you already had coming into the relationship?
I actually met him. He was one of my coaches. We were just friends at first for a while, and then I graduated out of his class, and we started dating after that. So
I love it. A classic romance story with some martial arts in there. Now,
Yeah.
how did your son get into wrestling?
You know, my dad wrestled in college. My dad wrestled his whole life. He wrestled at Notre Dame in college. And so my son, from an early age, showed a really big interest in wrestling. And as soon as he could hit the mats, he hit the mats. So,
Wow.
yeah.
Wow. And how old is he now?
Doing really well.
And how old is your son now?
He is going to be 8 in May this
He's
month.
8. Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. So you're doing something that's really great. I mean, you're working, you're a mom, you're taking care of a family. You know, how has your experience at CMU helped you, in your career right now?
You know, being able to really put more than one thing on your plate and have the ability to do more than one thing at one time has been really important. Being able to support my family, get up every day, and have a purpose, I think, is really important. I think that's one of the most important things you can teach your children is that you have to have a purpose in life. Being able to serve a purpose, to serve other people is really important. And so that's been a really big blessing in my life, being able to serve other people. And that's one of the things I love most about being a teacher is being able to serve others.
Okay, awesome. I like that key component of having a purpose in life and serving other people. That's a great aspect of education. Solid. So tell me, who was your favorite professor at CMU in your program? And I know there are many great professors. Who's one that sticks out a little bit?
You know, I really liked Troy Hicks. I had him for more than one of my classes in the grad program. I really liked his flexibility within the course schedule that we had. I really liked his investment with the students. I felt like he genuinely cared about our personal lives and kind of what we had going on, as well as what we were doing within the program. And I feel like that's really important. You know, you're investing a lot of time, emotional energy, you're investing a lot of financial resources. And you have a whole life outside of CMU that you put into the program itself. And so having somebody that really makes it feel like it's a genuine interest of theirs was really helpful and beneficial. And I really enjoyed having him as a professor.
Wow, that's awesome. I agree. Dr. Hicks is a great man. He had so much passion for making the program work. So it was his idea to have these webinars as well. And so he runs EdTech Currents, and I'm just facilitating them for him. So what a great guy. I agree with you. So, Katelyn, if you will, run us through your presentation. Tell us what you think is most valuable for prospective students coming into educational technology at CMU.
Yeah, sure. So, you know, throughout the program, there was a lot of different things. You know, obviously you have to take some courses that you like and some courses that you don't. And I think that's throughout your entirety and your entire course of education from the time you start school. You like some, you don't like some. But overall, I think that there were a lot of web-based material that were really beneficial, that if you're a teacher and you're teaching in your classroom, that you can soak up and that you can use And you need to familiarize yourself with a lot of the programs that they're offering you. We did some web quests, which are some inquiry-based learning, and your students can use that. It's some web-based software. There's also, we moved into like instructional multimedia, which is, it helps increase student achievement, and we did that through the use of blogs. And there's also different multimedia projects that you can do. I have some links here. I can have you guys share this webinar presentation so that people can kind of work through this and they can go through the links themselves. But, you know, after we did the web quests and the blogs, we combined kind of all of that knowledge, and we moved into some online learning management systems. And that became a really big interest of mine as we were going through the program. We kind of began to sort through the different learning tools that we could use in the classroom. And the online assessment tools were huge for me because they're so applicable in the classroom, and specifically to my job currently. You know, I'm a technology coordinator in my position that I do right now. I work alongside the teachers to help implement technology in their curriculum.
Okay.
And I also proctor the district testing at our schools, the MAP and NWEA testing that we do, which is our district-wide testing we do 2 times a year to baseline our students' testing to see where they are falling.
Okay.
And so, you know, online assessment tools are huge for our teachers that are classroom teachers to be able to see, you know, how their students are doing in between our district testing. So it was really helpful to be able to kind of experience that.
Wow, wow. Now, you're currently working with what grade level?
Right now I'm K through 8. So I mentioned earlier, I work through Carleton Public Schools here in Saginaw. And they contract me out to private parochial Lutheran schools. So right now I'm K through 8, and what I do is I'm a technology coordinator. So 2 times a year, at the beginning of the year and the end of the year, I proctor district testing, and I, like I mentioned, you know, baseline test the students to see where they're at for language, reading, and math. And I work also with K through 8 in technology.
Okay. What are some of the fun things that you all do in your classroom based on the knowledge that you have to present to them?
Yeah, so currently right now we're coding. We're using computer science, and we're using a program through MIT. We're using, it's called Scratch, and the kids are really loving it. They get to kind of make their own programs, and they get to choose which program they're in based on, I differentiate my instruction. So based on where their learning level is, that's where I meet them where they're at. So if they're, you know, if they need me to have an easy lesson, then they're an easy coder. If they're a medium coder, that's what they do. So they get to choose from, it varies from music and sound all the way from, you know, fashion and design, all the way up to video game design. So it's a lot of design, and they get to create their own projects, and it's just really cool to see them problem solve through things. It's really awesome to be able to see kind of how they would do that in real life situations. You know, you get yourself into situations and you have to problem solve, and you have to kind of move forward when things don't go right the first time. And it kind of makes them apply themselves when truly in life you get into situations where something doesn't go right the first time, and you have to go back to the drawing table and reevaluate and try again because the first thing didn't work. So.
Okay. Wow. So I remember last time we talked, you mentioned something about coding, and you mentioned that you had some students that love coding. I think one particular young lady. Tell me what it is that's fascinating about coding, and how do you teach that in the realm of educational technology?
Yeah, so, you know, with coding, it's really interesting because you get some students that it's way above their level. And so I really love the differentiation piece of this because you can meet them where they're at. So some of these kids, you introduce the coding and it's really overwhelming at first for them. And they just think, oh my gosh, I can't do this. Even as young as, you know, first grade, I can't do this. It's too hard for me. And at first you see a lot of panic set in, and these kids just can't do it. And you physically see them panicking where they just feel like they cannot do this.
Wow.
And working through that, almost, you know, you hit a wall with them in that block, and it's really awesome to see them push through that barrier of I can't do this to I can't do this yet, or I haven't figured it out yet. And how can we move past that? How can we, you know, get the tools in our toolbox so that I can do it? I just haven't been able to do it yet. And so that's a really cool thing to see the kids, you know, push through.
You know, I've heard that concept before, and I like that idea of of switching from the thought process of I can't do this to I can't do this yet.
Right.
Because it does give us hope, potential, and capability in the future.
Right.
Awesome. I
Yeah.
love it. I love it. Oh, so continue. Let us know some of the most important things that you think are good for prospective students coming into the program.
Yeah. So time management is a really big one.
Wow.
I used to be a big procrastinator, especially my first 2 years of college as an undergrad. I was notorious for waiting until the last minute and then dumping myself with stress of having to, scramble to get things done. And sure, I could pull out at maybe a B plus, A minus, but not, without the expense of my sanity. And so something I really learned towards the end of my bachelor's undergrad and then moving especially into my into my grad program, especially when you have a family and you kind of are getting your feet on solid ground and rooted, is, you really need to give yourself that space and the emotional energy of planning. So let me look at my calendar for the week. What days am I totally stacked where I know I'm not going to be able to sit down and give myself the 3 hours that I need? What days can I give myself an extra 20 minutes here? So if you know that you're just Wednesday's out, it's totally stacked, you don't have time, give yourself an extra 20, 30, 40 minutes on Tuesday. So it's just giving yourself that extra time, really making sure that you are dedicating the time that's necessary, and just giving yourself the space and being gentle with yourself, really giving yourself the time and energy. Like I was saying earlier, with my kids, I let them fail and try again, and it's important, I think, to let ourselves do that because we're so hard on ourselves, but I think it's important to remember also that we're human. So if we fail, we need to be able to go back to the drawing board. And if something doesn't go right in one of your projects in one of your classes, email your professor, ask for help, ask another student, hey, I'm having a really hard time with this project. Can I kind of see where you're at with your work so I can see if I'm on the right track? And you'd be surprised at how many of your classmates are either in the same boat or willing to help you.
Wow, wow, that's incredible. Now, thinking about the time and effort that it takes to acquire your master's, and we've talked about this before. How many hours per week would you say you put into your studies at CMU acquiring your master's? And with that time frame, what kind of success would that yield?
Realistically, I would say I spent about 8 to 10 hours a week.
8 to 10 hours a week.
8 to 10 hours a week on my grad school. And I would say probably, and I broke my time up pretty well. I would do, an hour here, an hour there, 20 minutes here, 20 minutes there. But realistically, it was about 8 to 10. And some weeks it was 4 hours. Some weeks it was 6 hours. Some weeks it wasn't the full 8 to 10. But on average, if you look at the entire program, if you look at semester to semester, I would say on average it was about 8 to 10.
About 8 to 10. How many years did it take you to complete your master's?
It was I started in January of 2016 and I graduated in December of 2017. Or, I'm sorry, yeah, 17. So it was about a year, almost 2 years.
Almost 2 years. So just a little bit under a year. I'm sorry, a little bit under 2 years.
Yeah, a little under 2 years.
Your program. So, wow. So there was a lot of dedication there,
Yep.
a lot of time management.
Yep.
What would you say was one of the most valuable things that you came out of the program with?
That I can wear many hats. That it is possible to do a lot of things at one time.
Okay.
That time management is very important, and that it is important to respect your own time and to really respect other people's time. I think when you have so much things on your own plate and when you are really working as hard as, it's not easy to go through grad school and to be a mom, and to be a future wife and to be a teacher and to be a friend and to be a mentor and to be all of the different things, all the different hats that I was wearing at the time. It was really important for me to really respect my own time. And I think what it gave me is a sense of self. It really gave me at that time, it was a growing process. And that during my grad school time, that gave me kind of a jump of maturity. And I think grad school helped with that. It really did kind of help me juggle so many things, and it forced me to really take a step back and evaluate my own personal life. And it was helpful with that.
Wow. How did your jujitsu play a role in your master's program? Meaning that when you were studying your master's, were you able to also participate heavily in your Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu?
Yeah, sure. So not as much as I would have liked to. It took me, on average, it takes about a year for someone to get their blue belt. It took me almost 2.
Okay.
And a lot of people would have quit, I think, because it's discouraging, to see other people getting belted up when you think, dang, I should have gotten belted up, or why is that person getting a stripe when I'm not getting a stripe? And there were definitely times when I thought I should just quit. I'm not ever going to get there, but it's one of those things that I was just talking about previously, where it makes you evaluate yourself as a person. And I can do this. It's just going to take me a little bit longer. It goes back to what I was talking about with my students. I'm just not there yet. I'm just not there yet. And I have grad school on my plate. I have this. I'm a wrestling mom. I have teaching on my plate. I have jiu-jitsu on my plate. So at this point in time, I have so much on my plate. I just have to. It's all about balance. And grad school taught me balance. And I think that was the biggest thing I can take away. And if I can share my best experience with anybody about grad school, is if you have patience, and if you can just be patient with yourself, it will teach you balance.
I like that concept, because we know that we all need to have some balance in our lives and be multifaceted and have the multiple hats on. And I commend you for being able to work through the academic rigors of an educational technology program, be a wrestling mom, be a fiance, be a teacher, as well as taking up your own interests. That's a great example for prospective students coming in to know that they can have a life and they can accomplish their academic rigor. So kudos to you on that. Yeah. Now I noticed in your slide that you had something regarding Black history, and if you will, kind of fast forward to that if you don't mind.
Yep. Do you want me to click on that link to go to
Is
that
that a
page?
link?
Yep, it's a hyperlink.
You know, no, don't worry about clicking on the link, because I'm not sure how it would affect the web session.
Yep.
But if you will, just tell us a little bit about that.
Yep. So I did. One of the things that we did is we did a web search, and I did something on Black History Month where my kids. It was an inquiry-based lesson where my students had to use a web-based software, and they went through, and it was a lesson. And that was fun for them because it was just a single lesson. It was a single-day lesson, and that was fun for them to just be able to use the internet and be able to get familiarized with research and credible versus non-credible, sources. Mm-hmm. So that was a fun intro for my middle school students to do.
Awesome. So as we start to conclude and wind down, I want to talk about some of the safety precautions that you take with your students. You being a master of educational technology, I mean, that says a lot right there. What are some of the precautions and the warnings that you give to some of your students when they deal with technology?
Yeah, so we talk about internet safety, a lot, and we go over how to protect yourself, how to protect others. Really respecting others is huge, and we talk about that a lot. It starts with respecting yourself, and then you can help respect others. If you don't respect yourself, it's really hard to respect others. So we do self-reflection quite frequently. Respecting yourself, it starts there, and then it goes outward from there. So making sure that you're respecting your space and your things. So your Chromebook, your desktop, the things around you, making sure that you're having integrity, doing the right thing because it's the right thing to do, not because I'm standing over your shoulder watching, not because that I'm going to be looking at your search history, but because that that's the right thing to do. And then it goes out from there. It kind of branches off from there, making sure that if your friend's not doing something they're supposed to be doing, that you give gentle reminders, things like that. We talk about digital citizenship, leaving carbon footprints. We do a lot of, digital citizenship work here.
Now tell me what's citizenship. What is that?
Yeah, so being a digital citizen is just kind of like being a normal citizen. You think about what a good citizen is in society. It's the same thing of being a digital citizen. So how you'd be a citizen if you were, if you saw a little kid, if a ball bounced in the street, if an elderly person was crossing the street, how would you respond to that? It's the same if you are on the internet. If you are in a chat room and you see someone is not being kind to another person, if they're bullying or if they're being disrespectful, being a good digital citizen is just, again, using integrity, doing the right thing because it's the right thing to do.
Okay, I want to be a great digital citizen. But first, I have to learn how to say digital citizen without getting my
Tongue
tongue
twister.
twisted. Yeah,
Yep.
that's a good one. You said it enough to where it comes out smooth.
Yeah.
Right? I have to stop and pause. So I like that, being a great digital citizen. So is that something that you're sharing with your class often?
Absolutely,
Okay.
absolutely. I think in today's society, it's so prevalent that we are on our phones, we're on our computers, we are media is everywhere, right? I mean, social media, we are on our emails are attached to our phones, text messages. Heaven forbid our phone were to die in the middle of the day without our phone charger. I mean, we are always on our screens, and our kids are growing up in a society in an age where that is their life. We are 1-to-1, technology ratio at schools. This is the life they're living, and so it is important for them to know this kind of stuff, because if they don't know digital citizenship, if they don't know what a carbon footprint is. And once you put something out on the internet, you can't get it back. Once you send that picture, you can't undo it. Once you send that text message, it's there forever. Once you put that information out, it's done. It's a done deal. So knowing that thinking before you send is huge. It's kind of like the whole think before you speak. You got to think before you send. You got to think before you type, because it's once you send it, it's out there.
Wow. Wow. What insight would you have with your level of expertise in education to mothers or fathers who struggle with their kids having poor digital citizenship?
I think one of the things that my son is 8, almost 8, so I don't have a huge, I can't say from experience what I would do, because he doesn't have, social media accounts in that. But what I can say is that children have no privacy, right? So parents want to say, well, I want to respect their privacy and I trust them, and children have no privacy. So if a child is having some trouble, if you are getting phone calls from other parents, if there's drama with so and so said so and so, the he said she said game, it is your right as a parent to go through their phone and make sure that what they're saying is appropriate, who they're talking to is appropriate. Parents, know who your kids are talking to, know what they're saying, know what games they're playing, know what websites they're going on, know what is being, sent, know what apps they're downloading. That is so critical. It is so important. Your child's life depends on it. Their outcome depends on it. And it is your responsibility to make sure that you are being overbearing and you are being overprotective, because whether they like you or not is irrelevant. It is whether they're safe, that is what's relevant. So that's the bottom line.
Well, I like that. So, are you saying if students have to be great digital citizens, then parents have the responsibility to be great digital governors
Absolutely.
or presidents or something like that? Okay, I
Absolutely.
like that. Like that. In conclusion, what would be a key point that you would have for a prospective student coming into the CMU Educational Technology Program?
With this new level of education, I would say that it's helped me grow both educationally and personally, also professionally. But time management, I would really say that if you're considering this, if you're on the fence, if you're saying, yeah, I could do this, but I'm too busy, or yeah, I could do this, but I can't afford it, it's too expensive, or yeah, I could afford it, but I would really recommend that you just take a step back and really think about this, and really ponder over this and mull it over, and because you can do this, and you're not too busy, and you're not you don't have too much on your plate, and you don't have too much going on. You can make the time for this. You have the abilities, you have the efforts, you are smart enough, and I would really recommend that you do this, because not only is it going to grow you academically and professionally, but it will grow you personally. And I have nothing negative to say about it. It was stressful at times. There were, minor times where I said, oh, I don't know about this, but at the very end of the day, I can't say enough good things about the program. It really, professionally, it boosted me tenfold, and personally, it did wonders for my life. So.
Wow, wow. Thank you so much, Caitlin.
Yeah.
Well, folks, this is a very powerful segment because you just got great insight from Katelyn Gerardi, who is a mom. She's a fiance. She is an educator. She understands technology in a very vast way when it comes to teaching children. and she just shared with you some great experiences regarding her uh, overall view of the program, the Educational Technology Program at Central Michigan University. And this was a treat because you laid it down from a realistic perspective, and I appreciate that. So, all of you who are considering uh, researching the Educational Technology Program at Central Michigan University, this is a very good place to extend your career. Dr. Troy Hicks is a significant part of this department, and he's a great person to contact. You can contact him through the website at CMU, or you can give him a call, look him up on the website as well at the CMU Educational Technology Program. So, to close, Katelyn, I'd like to thank you. I'd like to commend you for doing this again because we did one earlier, but we wanted to do another one. And I appreciate your leadership. Thank you for working with those kids out there in Saginaw, and thank you for representing the program so well.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Hey, you're welcome. We appreciate you, and hopefully next year you'll do another one of these for us as well and give us an update.
Absolutely.
Thanks a lot, Katelyn.
Yep, thank you.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye.
Join the conversation on our next EdTech Currents.